Hello guys, Robin here from my college dorm room. Let me preface this video saying it is unscripted, so you might hear a lot of rambling and a lot of thinking about some cuts when I mess up. I want to state that I am not an expert on the AI field. I have a little bit more knowledge about it than the average person, as I am a second year computer engineering student and I'm very interested in artificial intelligence and new technologies, so I do have some knowledge about it. Also, I am not a doctor or an expert on human anatomy and physiology, although I do have 3 years of experience studying medicine on my native country. So with that out of the way, I hope you enjoy this video. This is mostly exploring an idea that I would like to discuss with people that have more knowledge on the subject than me. And this is the only way or the best way that I thought I could achieve that, by putting it out on the internet and hopefully reaching out to the right people so I could have an interesting conversation about it. Let's start with the whale that terrorized the Western world, DeepSeek. This little blue whale has caused a crash in the stock markets, but especially in the artificial intelligence field, and a lot of panic amongst those that have heavily invested in it. I'm gonna assume that since this video delves into AI, most of you already know what DeepSeek is and uh, how it came to be. But still, I'm gonna do a brief summary of what happened, right? So DeepSeek is a company that is owned or by an investment fund, I believe, in China, that managed to develop and train a large language model, the V3, with allegedly only $5.6 million, which on the AI world, if you know anything about it, is pennies on the dollar, because some insiders say that training the largest models or models that would rival ChatGPT or Gemini would take from anywhere from 100 million or to $1 billion only in training. So 5.6 is literally pennies on the dollar. And they made it open source, which means it's free for everyone to use, to download, and to adapt as they see fit. They also released a reasoning model similar to ChatGPT's new O1, called the R1, which outperforms the said model by quite a margin in some tasks such as mathematics, and that is also open source and free. Now, did it really cost $5.6 million? Who the fuck can say? But I really think they did it for way less money than was thought possible. And I think this $5.6 million figure might be omitting some spending on the development of the actual tool, not only on training, obviously. So I don't think it actually cost only $5.6 million to develop. But it is a wake up call to the industry, especially since it is open source and free. And OpenAI is now looking to charge upwards of $200 for the access to its new O1 reasoning model. So, how does this relate to the topic of today? That this got me thinking that the approach that we're having towards developing artificial general intelligence might not be the best approach. And I know I'm no expert on the field. I might be misunderstanding some things about the backend functionality of how these models actually come to be. But I still thought this would be an interesting idea to explore. First, what is AGI? AGI is a type of artificial intelligence that matches or surpasses human cognitive capabilities across a wide range of cognitive tasks. This is just the Wikipedia definition, this being the most important part, this part. Across a wide range of cognitive tasks. We already have a narrow intelligence that is better than humans at doing very specific things, very narrow specific things. That's why we call it narrow intelligence. We have models that are better than us at putting words together and writing novels in seconds, like ChatGPT does, the LLM, the most popular LLM model. It could write you a whole novel probably in no time compared to what a human would take. But we are still missing the elusive ability to have an artificial intelligence model that is able to do it all. And this has been at the center of the artificial intelligence movement, especially of companies like OpenAI, whose main goal has been set from the beginning on developing this artificial intelligence. Now, what is the current approach that I think most of the big tech companies are taking? I think, from what I've read and the education I have on the subject, that the current approach is taking the best known model for that we have. In this case, large language models, which have been impressive in developing new functionality with training, new unexpected functionality with training, and just taking these models and just going fucking balls to the wall, pouring as much money, as much data, as much compute power as we can into these underlying models, to get better and better models that eventually will make us arrive at artificial general intelligence. So hopefully putting resources into these known models to get artificial general intelligence. Now, it seems reasonable to assume that this might work, especially since ChatGPT has been a massive success, and with training, it has shown that some functionality outside only language processing has arisen with this training, with this many nodes and this many parameters. I don't know how many parameters. I think Reddit said something around 1.7 trillion parameters or something insane like that. Considering that the human brain has 100 trillion connections, is about 1% of the what a human brain has in connections, to say it. Obviously, it doesn't translate exactly 1-to-1 because parameters don't exactly work like synapses, and you'll hear me repeat this somewhat along the video, because obviously the functioning of a neural network is not an exact 1-to-1 to how a brain works, but a lot of analogs and a lot of similarities can be drawn from them. I mean, that is why they're called neural networks in the first place, because it comes from neurons and the networks that they make in the brain. But knowing that, the current approach is just pouring as much into a specific type of model with the hopes of AGI raises a question to me. Is this really the best approach to achieve brain-like functionality through compute power? Like, is this really the way? So, let's go to our mushy friend right here. The thing that we all have and tortures us every day and also gives us a lot of pleasure, but the brain, the human brain, that's such a complicated and marvelous thing. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time, because there's a lot about it we don't understand. But there is a lot about it that we do understand, such as its structure and roughly how it works through executive function and information processing. Although things such as consciousness still elude us, we do know a lot about it. So, anatomically, the brain is split into different parts based on both functionality and the structure of the brain itself. You have this little striations that sort of divide it into different parts, right? So we have the frontal lobe, which is what makes us human, most would argue, which deals mostly with reasoning and chain of thought and problem solving. We have the occipital lobe, where visual cortex is, which processes images. We have the temporal lobes that have a lot to do with the memory and audio processing, and the parietal lobe, which kind of brings it all together. I'm massively oversimplifying here, but just because I want to get the idea across, right? The brain has a lot of different parts that do a lot of different things. Most complex functionality that us humans do is not specifically located in one part, but has very discrete parts in different places of the brain that helps us achieve said functionality. For example, speech, which I'm yapping a lot now, so we might as well look at speech. Speech has a lot of parts involved in it in the brain, mostly frontal lobe centered, especially in the planning of speech, such as Broca's area, which we see here is most active right before you speak, because it's kind of like planning, putting the words in order and whatever. We have Wernicke's area which we process speech and language, and a lot of like the motor cortex and the cerebellum that actually articulate our mouths, help us articulate our mouths. So we have a lot of different areas that go into this functionality, but still they're very discrete areas. So we know what parts of the brain are involved in speech. We know what parts sort of do what and how they communicate with each other, which is the most difficult part of the human brain. Because I think the most simple way to look at the human brain is a lot of discrete functions that communicate between themselves very efficiently and very fast. And I think you can start to see where I'm going with this. So I already said we have a lot of narrow intelligences that are very good at doing a lot of things better than humans. Now, let's go to a specific part of the human brain that I think could be analogous to what I'm trying to explain. It's called the thalamus. So, what is the thalamus? The thalamus is a structure that is located somewhat in the middle of the brain that acts as a relay station of sorts. A lot of sensory nerves from our body go through the thalamus, and the thalamus distributes it to a lot of parts of the brain, right? So the thalamus, this relay station, is really good at sending information to whatever it needs to go. So what if the right approach, or a better, I don't want to say right approach, because most complicated problems in life have more than one solution. But what if a better approach than to super training and wasting a huge amount of resources into a specific model? Hey guys, Future Robin here. I think I omitted an important detail when I was talking about wasting resources on training. It's not really wasted. To the process of distillation that I think I did not properly explain during the video, you can use bigger models to train smaller models for much cheaper, which is theorized that could reduce the size of the overall neural network by not creating or discarding useless nodes or parameters that are created during the model and making it smaller and more efficient. Again, oversimplifying a little bit here, but when I talked about wasting resources, I meant just trying to make these models as big as possible, instead of making them as efficient as possible for certain tasks, which is at the end of the day what narrow intelligences do. So yeah, my bad. Just getting an LLM and just overtraining the shit out of it, hoping that AGI eventually pops up, it might be as hard or even harder. But I don't think there's a lot of people in the industry exploring this idea enough to come to a consensus or a hard conclusion on what if it's a worse or a better answer. And that is why I wanted to make this video, because I want to talk with people that might know more about the industry to see if this idea makes sense, right? So let's imagine we have the different parts of the brain, right? So let's imagine that we could use an LLM just as the part of our virtual brain, like let's call it a virtual brain, that handles speech, because it does it very well and it does it better than humans in most cases. So let's imagine an LLM acts as all these parts of the human brain with their specific functions, right? So we would need, we could use models such as DALI or other image processing models, our pseudo virtual cortex, to handle images, and models such as the R1 from DeepSeek, or similar models that focus more on train of thought and chain of thought processing and problem solving as our frontal cortex mainly, right? And obviously, this is an oversimplification of how these models work because they have more parts than only processing of images and only this, because we have been trying to make a specific model as general as we can instead of having a lot of specific models or narrow models that interact with each other. But let's just humor me for a bit, right? Let's say DeepSeek was only focused on DeepSeek R1 was only focused on maintaining chain of thought and planning, and just planning and problem solving, and we had other models, other parts of the brain that did all the other specific stuff. Wouldn't this be a more efficient approach to developing artificial general intelligence? I think the answer might be yes, but as I said, I don't think I have enough knowledge to come to that conclusion yet. But I do think that is something that needs to be explored, and at least maybe I'll just get a smack in the mouth by someone that knows a lot more about this and say, no, Robin, you're a fucking idiot, and I might be. But I really, it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I think this could be an interesting way to explore this. Now, how would a thalamus-like model work? I have no clue. I have no idea how you would take all the information, especially since a lot of these neural networks work under the hood in somewhat different ways. Not all of them are, not all the parameters are adjusted the same way, nor all the architectures are the same. But such is with the human brain. Not all the neurons in all the parts of the brain have to be arranged in the exact same way or interact in the exact same way. So I think if we take an example from biology, we could arrive to something really special. This has been a lot of yapping, so I apologize, a lot of rambling, but if you know more about this, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I am very interested in hearing what you guys think, especially if you have ideas that not only contradict me, but ideas that develop this further or just discredit this line of thinking completely. I just want to hear what you guys think. I want to talk about this topic with people that know a lot about it, or at least are passionate about artificial intelligence or biology, and have some knowledge in the fields. And please leave a like if you enjoyed my ramblings, or you found this at least thought-provoking or interesting. And subscribe, because I plan to talk about this more in the future. I already am trying to get in contact with people that know more about this so we can have interesting discussions. And I want to make this channel a place not only for artificial intelligence or technology or biology, but I want to make it a place where we can discuss interesting ideas about the modern world, from philosophy to consciousness. And I have a lot of interesting videos planned already with more scripted structure, more, maybe less bland and boring. But I hope you guys liked it. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Peace.